You are not as tired as you think. You are overloaded in ways you cannot see. There is a quiet, persistent drain happening in your mind that has nothing to do with how hard you worked today. It comes from everything you didn't finish, didn't decide, didn't close. Every "I'll deal with that later," every message you didn't reply to, every idea you started but never completed. These are not neutral. They remain active. They sit in the background of your awareness, quietly consuming energy. This is decision debt. It doesn't announce itself loudly. It doesn't feel like a crisis. It feels like subtle heaviness, like brain fog that creeps in by midday, like opening your laptop and feeling tired before you even begin, like needing more effort just to focus on simple things. The problem is not always workload. It is the accumulation of unfinished cognitive loops. Your brain is designed to hold on to incomplete tasks. This is part of how memory and attention work. When something is left unresolved, your mind keeps it slightly active to ensure it doesn't get forgotten. That's useful in small amounts. But in a modern environment filled with constant input, those open loops multiply faster than they can be closed. Each one consumes a small amount of mental bandwidth. One or two is manageable. Dozens are not. Over time, they create a constant layer of low-level tension. You may not be actively thinking about each one, but your brain is still tracking them. That tracking has a cost. Think about how you feel in the morning compared to the afternoon. In the morning, your mind is relatively clear. Fewer active loops, more available focus. As the day progresses, more decisions get postponed. More tasks remain unfinished. By the afternoon, your system is carrying a backlog. That's when the fog sets in. This is not laziness, it's cognitive overload. In today's environment, this problem is amplified. Notifications, messages, emails, content, each one asks for a decision. Respond now, later, or not at all. Even choosing to ignore something is still a decision your brain has to process. When you defer too many of these choices, they stack up, and the cost compounds. Decision debt works like interest. The longer a choice remains open, the more energy it consumes. Not because the task itself is difficult, but because your brain keeps revisiting it. It becomes a recurring background process. You may notice this when you try to focus on something important, but random thoughts keep interrupting. I need to reply to that message. I should figure out that plan. I still haven't decided about that thing. These interruptions are not random. They are unresolved loops resurfacing. This is where the real damage happens. It's not just that these thoughts exist. It's that they fragment your attention. Deep focus requires continuity. When your mind is constantly switching between tasks, even briefly, it becomes harder to sustain that continuity. Over time, this reduces the quality of your thinking. It also increases the effort required to do even simple work. Another layer of this problem is choice overload. You are exposed to more options than ever before. More information, more opportunities, more paths. On the surface, this seems like a good thing, but it creates hesitation. When there are too many options, the cost of making the wrong decision feels higher. So instead of choosing, you delay. That delay creates another open loop. Eventually, you are not just managing tasks, you are managing indecision. And indecision is one of the most expensive cognitive states. It keeps the brain active without producing results. It drains energy without moving anything forward. At some point, a simple thought crosses a threshold. It stops being a passing idea and becomes a cognitive parasite. This happens when you fail to assign it a clear outcome. Decide, schedule, or delete. If you do none of these, the thought remains active. The solution is not to eliminate all tasks or decisions. That's unrealistic. The solution is to reduce the number of open loops your brain is forced to manage at once. This is where ruthless finality becomes important. When something takes less than a couple of minutes to resolve, do it immediately. Not because it's urgent, but because leaving it open costs more energy than completing it. The goal is not efficiency in the traditional sense. It's energy conservation. For larger decisions, the key is to assign closure. That might mean setting a specific time to decide or consciously choosing to say no. What matters is that the loop is not left undefined. Undefined tasks are the ones that linger the longest. Batch processing is another useful approach. Instead of switching between different types of decisions throughout the day, group similar ones together. Respond to messages at one time. Make planning decisions at another. This reduces context switching and allows your brain to focus more effectively. But perhaps the most important shift is accepting that not every decision needs to be perfect. Perfectionism keeps loops open. It tells you that you need more information, more time, more certainty. But in many cases, a good enough decision made now is far more efficient than a perfect decision made later. The longer you wait, the more energy the loop consumes. Closing the loop, even imperfectly, frees up that energy. As you begin to reduce decision debt, you'll notice something interesting. Your energy doesn't just return, it stabilizes. You feel less scattered, more present, more capable of focusing for longer periods without feeling drained. This is because your brain is no longer juggling as many background processes. Creativity also improves. When your mind is not preoccupied with unresolved tasks, it has more capacity for new ideas. You are no longer reacting to what's unfinished. You are actively engaging with what's in front of you. Maintaining this state requires consistency. New loops will always appear. The goal is not to eliminate them entirely, but to prevent accumulation. A simple way to do this is to end each day with a brief mental audit. What is still open? What needs a decision? What can be closed immediately? What can be scheduled? What can be dropped entirely? This keeps your system clean. Over time, you move from being reactive to being intentional. Instead of constantly responding to incoming demands, you decide what deserves your attention. You become the one managing your cognitive environment, rather than being managed by it. This is what it means to protect your mental bandwidth. Mind care is self-care, is not just about reducing stress. It's about understanding how your mind actually functions and working with it instead of against it. Decision debt is one of the most overlooked sources of fatigue. But once you see it, you can't unsee it. So start small. Close one loop, then another. Notice how it feels. Notice the slight increase in clarity, the small reduction in tension. That's your energy returning. And the more consistently you do it, the more your mind shifts from a cluttered system running dozens of background processes into a focused, intentional space where your energy is finally working for you, not against you.